Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm an artist from New Zealand. And right now, you're watching one of my workshops or tutorials where I'm sharing all of my real life insights into growing my own art business. I've been doing this for the last 8 years, and I found it really challenging at times with the lack of information or openness of other artists to share how to actually create an authentic business that feels like me. And this is what I'm trying to do now is pass the knowledge and learnings that I have found along the way onto you to help you with growing your own art business because I truly believe it's possible to do what you love for a living. And the world needs your art more than ever. So I hope you enjoy this. If you love it, drop me a comment and tell me what you think. It's always great for me to hear what you think and what you found useful. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. I release one of these generally every week. Hello, wonderful creative. How are you? I wanted to share today a guide that I created quite a long time ago, but I've recently revisited it for just updating, and I thought it was a really great one to share again a few years later. For those of you who perhaps have already done commissioned artworks for people or have thought about doing it and don't really know how to best, I guess, get the best outcome. So I created a guide to help you make sure you don't get caught out, whether that be just mixed expectations between you and a client or even knowing where to start with what you're sharing or telling them so far as the process. So I've created this 5-step guide and I thought I'd just run through this today with you to just highlight some key things I recommend covering when you're going through the process of offering somebody a bespoke, one of a kind piece of art for them. So, if you've had somebody get in touch with you, or perhaps you want to offer this as something completely new, you might be saying, "Hey, leading up to Christmas, I'm going to have two commission spots available, or leading up to this, in February, I have two commission spots available for the first 6 months of next year, whatever it might be. Your pitch, you want to be able to know how to have these conversations and make sure you get the best outcome for you and your client. So, step one, if you have someone get in touch and say, "Yes, I'm keen to know more about this," the first thing we really want to understand is getting a clear brief from the client. So, asking the right questions to understand what they're wanting. So I've got some key points here, and you might prompt these or they might, share these with you. But here's a couple of things to help you with this part of the process. So the first thing is obviously clarifying the size, the look of the piece, key colors, features, the medium. If you have different types of mediums, you might be somebody who does watercolors and acrylics. So understanding perhaps something that they've seen of yours before, what did they like about it and what would they like in the piece that they're thinking of. They might not have any idea of that, by the way. They might just go, "Look, I love what you do and I saw these pieces and I thought they were excellent." And then that's a great way to just ask questions about, well, what did you like about this, what colors do you have in your home, and all these kinds of other questions you can prompt to get a better understanding of what they will end up loving. They might also, like I say, reference another piece to help you come up with, a concept or specific questions around that. But the key is to ask lots of questions early. So we want to avoid any confusion later to make sure we've fully understood what they're after. I often ask for a photo of the space that they are thinking of the piece going, and I ask for a measurement, and I do like little mock-ups on Canva. This really helps them get an idea, and it helps them really envisage what your art could look like or how it could work. And the more questions you ask and the further you go down that line, the more they get kind of more invested in the process, which is what you want. So the second thing is to confirm your price and timeframes based on the brief that you've received. So once you've got all the information you need, and this is probably the longest part of it, fully understanding what they want and suggesting ideas that they agree on, is you want to confirm a price and timeframes based on the brief and a concept that you might have created. So I generally myself will create some mock-ups or concepts that I give them options for, and then I kind of give them some price indications and timeframes for those options. And then that's when they can kind of go, well, I like this or I like that, but I want it bigger, or they start to get more specific on the ideas that you give. So I generally create two or three sketches, and create some mock-ups, like I say, in Canva, to give them idea of the scale. But once you have that, you're able to start to give some pricing and better pricing indications. And, at that point, they then have two much clearer options, and they have an idea of price. But remember to consider the complexity of the work when you're pricing, and don't undersell yourself with commissions. You really should. The general rule of thumb is that a commission should be a bit more expensive than a normal piece, because there will be a bit more. I always find that it's a bit stickier to create a commission work, because it's not as intuitive as something that you've just decided to do. You're creating within a brief, which I often find a little bit more challenging. So definitely don't underprice. Also just consider where these people live. Like, you might have somebody down the South Island. If you live in New Zealand, I'm in the North Island. I got caught up on that once, where I hadn't really fully considered the insured cost to courier it down there. This was a number of years ago, and I got stung with a few $100s of couriers that I hadn't really thought about. So make sure you consider all those elements. Also, remember to confirm when you're going to be able to start and how long it takes. So if you're talking to somebody and you only have space to do this in 6 months' time, you really want to tell them early to make sure they have a very good understanding that they're not going to get this straight away. And although you might only be able to start it in, say, March, it might take you 4 months, depending on what it's like. So you want to be really clear on those particular things early on. The third thing is, once they've got these concepts and pricing and timeframes, they'll come back to you and then either say, still thinking about it, not quite there yet, or yes, let's do it. So once they've done that, you want to get it written in writing. Okay, so you might create a little mini contract, depending on how professional you want to be, that highlights exactly the details of what you're creating, a price, timeframes, and a signed contract. Some artists do this, a lot of artists do this, or just getting an email where they've responded and gone confirm. And it's really important just to ask them to respond to that email and confirm all those details, because here in New Zealand, I don't want to speak for everywhere, but here in New Zealand, that is contractually binding. If somebody has responded saying, yes, please proceed on all of these terms that you've outlined, that is a contractually binding agreement if there is an email in place. That might not be necessarily everywhere in the world, so please check that. Don't take my word for it that will be relevant for you, but that's what it is like here. So I've just got a key thing here at the beginning of step 3 is communication is the key to the success of any relationship in any business. Okay, so communicating the clear expectations of everything you've worked out before this is really, really important, and making sure they are in agreement with exactly what you have outlined. And also just be clear on the number of changes or iterations you've allowed for. So I've not really had many clients who are like, changes. They've just let me kind of go with it once I've given them the concept, and they've generally all been very happy. I've had one client that asked to change one quite significant element, which did take a bit of time. It wasn't huge, but it took a bit of time. So I think it's important just to be clear that you will give some progress updates, and they have the chance to kind of confirm that they're okay with where it's going, and that you're allowing for maybe minor iterative changes at certain points. So you might say at 3 points in time, I'll give you the chance to tell me if you'd like anything changed. But we don't want to get to the end of the process where you've not checked in or confirmed, and they go, I don't like the color at all in the background, and you finish this piece and you're in a real pickle. So just be clear on what the expectation should be around changes and tweaks to what you're creating, and how often you're going to give them the chance to mention anything they're not 100% happy with. And request a deposit before you start. I think 30 to 50% is a really good range. I like to ask for 50% unless it's a really expensive piece, in which case, recently I did my most recent last commission I did was $8,000. So I asked for a 30% commission deposit to start because obviously that was still quite a significant chunk of money to get moving. But there's no reason why you couldn't have asked for 50% in that situation. But have the conversation with your clients. I would be very wary about starting anything without anything less than a 25% deposit because you want them to be very committed, and that is non-refundable, and be really clear about that once they've paid that deposit, that is yours, because you want the money to be very much locked in before you start to buy the materials and put the work into it. So really protect yourself in this way. It's very important. Okay, so step 4. Like I said before, you want to send updates as you're creating the work. So let them know when you've started. I think that's also really key, especially if you have a bit of a backlog or you're not starting for a number of weeks or months. I think it's really nice just to say, hey, just to let you know, I've started as planned, and I will let you know when I've got some photos to share with you. And just start to share, even if I often just share like a base layer and go, I've started, and it just gets them involved and excited about the process, even if it doesn't really look like anything yet. It's just proof that you're getting into it. Send them another update once you've started detailing. I think that's a really good. I generally send progress shots once I've kind of got all the composition laid out. So for me, I create a lot of, I have abstract elements and realism elements. And so once I've got those kind of all blocked out with the base layers, I generally send it to them then and say, hey, look, this is a very loose layer to confirm the composition, what it's starting to form, how it's starting to form. And that's a really good time to give them a little update so that they can get a feel for the composition. And yeah, that's a really good line in the sand to start. And then I often send one probably about halfway, and then one near completion. Generally, if you've not got anyone saying anything by halfway, I'd be very surprised if you're going to get many problems. So it's good just to do a few earlier in the piece, just to make sure you can jump on anything they want changed as soon as possible. And if you're going to share on social media as you go, which is great, always ask. Always ask if they want or are happy for you to do that, or whether they would prefer that they see the final piece first before anyone else. That's a really good thing to clarify early on. So when it comes to finishing, step 5, once you finish, send them a final picture and request for the remaining funds to be sent before you give them the paintings. That's really important. Do not release the work until you have the money. If they're not near you, you might do a video or something else to show them the actual physical work, and that make sure you don't send it and then have to bring it back for whatever reason. Do whatever you have to in that scenario to make sure they're happy. And before you send them the work, make sure you take some really good quality photos and videos and things that you can add to your portfolio or add to your website or add to your social media, stuff that you need or want to hold on to before you lose this piece forever. Because once it's gone to them, you're unlikely to receive it back for imagery, unless perhaps you live locally and you might be able to pop by. But you really want to tie all that off before it goes. And after they've received the artwork, ask for some feedback. Get some formal feedback from them so you can use it for testimonials on your website, or when you're posting on social media, you could just have a testimonial of somebody who's recently had a piece of art that they've given you great feedback on. So really good as social proof. Social proof means that people can see that you are the real deal and you create great stuff that people are really happy with. And that often gets people thinking themselves, oh, that would be a really neat thing for me to do as well. So it's just about a confidence thing, trust and confidence, right? So people trust you, they're more likely to buy from you. Even if they like what you do, there's an element of, oh, it's just, am I really going to get something quality from this person? I don't know them that well. So all those things really help. So I hope this has given you a nice little feel of the key things I recommend you do. If you have done commissions before, maybe there's something in here that's prompted you to cover something off next time. The other thing I've recently created in relation to commissions is a customizable commission guide, which is something I've just created for my own business. And I just wanted to share this with you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is something I've created recently because I wanted something where my people coming to my website who were interested in a commission but didn't really know much about the process could go onto my website and download a guide that gave them kind of what we just spoke about, but their version, a client-friendly version of this guide, where they could go through and go, oh, this is how it works. Okay, I understand this. So I created this. It gives them all the steps of what they can expect, and then a final page of facts and, common questions, and a size guide, so something that you can give a bit of an indication, a range of what your pricing might be. So this is something I've recently created. You'll see here, this is actually a template I've made, and it's a part of the Artist Essential Business Toolkit, which I've just released this week. So this isn't a free resource. This is something I've added to my, like I said, the business toolkit I've just created, which is a bundle of all of my key strategy, planning, marketing, pricing, client templates that I use in my business, that I've bundled up, and I've created templates and workshops and tutorials, and I put them all into one pack for artists like yourself to have, and just remove the hassle of taking the time to create things like this. So really excited about this, because I know how long it's taken me to create resources like this across my business, whether it comes as goal setting or financial planning or a commission guide. So this is now available. I'll put the link below if you want to check that out. There's a whole heap of templates, marketing templates from Canva. So there's about 20 workshops, tutorials, and templates, and I've made it $27. So I want to make this really affordable as well, and this will just help professionalize your art business, and, like I say, save you some time. So if you're interested in this particular customizable template, along with many other, you can check out the link I've just put there, and you can see everything included and see if that's something that you think might benefit you and your business, whether you're starting out or whether you just need a bit more clarity and just to make your business feel a little bit more high end and professional in the way that you present and plan to share your work and make money from your work, which is what we're all trying to do. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is commissions are really great. I mean, some artists have a fantastic business where all they do is commissions, and they have an amazing business from this. So this might be something you really like the idea of, whether you've started or not. But I highly recommend, no matter what you do when it comes to offering something like this, you really make sure you protect yourself, and make sure you can create a really good relationship. Because if you can have a commission that goes really well with a client, they will love you forever, tell everyone about it, about the amazing journey that they had doing this with you, and they will likely buy from you again, which is the real thing that we want to do. Sustainable, long-lasting, growing businesses are formed on relationships with people that buy over and over again. We want to try and create that repeat buyer situation. So if you have any questions or comments, do let me know. I always love to see those, and hear what you think, but also be able to help you with anything else that you're curious about. All right, have a great day, and I will see you very soon. Bye.